Welcome, Dolphins fans, haters, and everyone in between to your favorite show discussing the greatest franchise in sports, the Miami Dolphins. This is the Fins Pod. My name is Moose, your host, and the NFL has given us Dolphins a treat. 2 games in 5 days. After the huge win on Sunday, Miami will be traveling to Cincinnati to face the reigning AFC champs, the Bengals. Joe Burrow versus Tua Tagovailoa on primetime TV. And the Dolphins are going to have a chance to make yet another statement and improve to 4-0, beating teams along the way that went over 500 just a season ago, and 3 of those teams were playoff contenders. The Bengals don't look to be the same powerhouse as last season, but the quick turnaround this week and some other factors do ensure to make this another tough test. And we'll get into the matchup, what to look for, as well as our score predictions. Will the honeymoon continue, or is the inevitable crash coming? Let's talk about it, and let's dive in. Just like the team, we do not get much time to relish in our victory over the Buffalo Bills, because Miami plays Thursday night on national TV against who many consider to be the best young quarterback in the league, Joe Burrow. And as you all likely do remember, Burrow was selected first overall in 2020, with Tua being taken by Miami at pick number 5. Now look, I don't think at this point in time, either team really regrets their decision. The Dolphins finally seem to be unlocking their young signal callers' potential under new coach Mike McDaniel, and the Bengals appeared in the Super Bowl in Burrow's second season. Now, these 2 young quarterbacks have a history. They were rivals in college, and they faced off in an epic showdown, with Burrow's LSU coming out on top over Tua's Crimson Tide. Now, to be fair to Tua at that time, he had just come back from ankle surgery. He wasn't 100%, sound familiar, but it's not like he didn't show up. The Tigers ended up winning the national championship that season, and they defeated Tua's Alabama during that regular season campaign 46-41. In that game, Burrow threw for 393 yards and 3 touchdowns, while Tua threw for 420 yards and 4 touchdowns. We were deprived of a face-to-face matchup in their rookie seasons because Tua faced the Bengals and won, but Burrow had already torn his ACL and was not playing in the game. This will be the first time that these 2 top 5 picks face off in the NFL. And to be honest, for both of them, it could not have come at a better time. The Bengals have gained everyone's respect already following that magical run to the Super Bowl a year ago, prior to eventually being knocked out by the Rams. But Burrow's widely considered a young stud. And now finally, Tua could be entering that conversation. His Dolphins are 3-0, look much improved, and there will be plenty of eyeballs on this matchup come Thursday night. Now, to be honest, I'm extremely nervous about this one. Simply put, everything is kind of lining up for a letdown. The Dolphins riding high following their 3-0 start. They're the talk of the NFL world, and right now, their shit just don't stink. It's a short week, Miami has minimal time to recover, and the game is being played in Cincy. So, the Dolphins, after a grueling showdown against Buffalo, will be traveling on short notice to face a team which has pressure to win. After their 0-2 start, the Bengals secured a nice confidence-building win over the New York Jets. Do I think Miami is completely screwed? Not at all. There is still a good chance that the Dolphins can come out of their first 4 weeks undefeated. However, the deck is stacked against them. To be completely honest, though, the only side which could start slow is the defense. As Mike McDaniel himself said to reporters earlier in the week, the defensive unit played 2 games worth of snaps. The offense, on the other hand, should be rested, aside, of course, from the players battling injury, and the Bengals are very rhythm-oriented in how they play. So that means that a quick start on offense for them could benefit the Bengals greatly. Burrow is a gamer, so they're never really out of it. The identity of their team on offense, big plays, moving the ball down the field with their slew of really good pass catchers. You're talking Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and Joe Mixon coming out of the backfield, all with unique traits and skill sets which have their own specific challenges. The good news for Miami, the Bengals are still struggling to protect their franchise quarterback. Burrow has been sacked plenty to start the season, and the Dolphins are going to have opportunities to get to him. I don't think he's ever faced the zero blitz look the way Miami runs it, so it's going to be interesting to see how Burrow responds. So far, of the three quarterbacks we faced, the more experienced and mobile of the two, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, they handled Miami's blitzes extremely well, and to be fair to both of them, they had seen them before. Last week, Allen was able to stay calm, hit that hot read, shred Miami's blitz, gain good yardage, and at times, they scored in the red zone. I believe the first two touchdowns, or their only two touchdowns, were when Miami did an all-out blitz in the red zone. Mac Jones, on the other hand, struggled. And although Joe Burrow is leaps and bounds better than McCorkle, they possess a similar level of athleticism. So the Patriots have a better offensive line. Miami should be able to bleed into the backfield and apply pressure on number 9. Defensively, though, and I know our boys are tired, but in the NFL, that's not really a valid excuse. Just ask Bills Mafia. But defensively, Miami has to stop the Bengals from using the ground game to relieve pressure from Burrow. The front seven did an excellent job limiting the Bills' rushing last week, but Buffalo never really had a good ground game over the last few seasons anyway. Joe Mixon for Cincy is a dog. He combines power, speed, vision, and if you don't keep gap responsibility, he will make you pay. Miami has to continue to be stout and force the Bengals into plenty of second and third and longs. And if that's the case, and we can dial up the pressure, then Miami should be getting home and getting to Joe Burrow. There's a shot the Dolphins get to Burrow 5 to 7 times this week. That is how porous their line has been so far in 2022. Defensively for Miami, Xavier Howard likely going to be matched up against Jamar Chase, with Kader Kohou and Nick Needham matching up with the other weapons on the outside. My main concern there would be those 50-50 balls, the jump ball situations that Joe Burrow loves to put his receivers in, because the Bengals have a significant height advantage with those receivers against our secondary as a whole. Javon Holland has to be big in this game, not just as a blitzer off the edge. He too could get a sack this week, but making sure communication is there on the back end, as well as support for when the Bengals do attempt to take shots over the top. Miami could and should hold the Bengals to 20 points or less, and their offense has yet to fully hit their stride as well. If, however, our boys are gassed, and Miami is unable to win the time of possession for a second straight week, then things really could get dicey down the stretch into the fourth quarter. Now, offensively for Miami, this is where I'm excited, and this is where I think we can win the game for a few reasons. Firstly, all signs point to Tua Tagovailoa being good to go following his back and ankle injuries against Buffalo. He's not in concussion protocol, despite the outrage from the national media, and there are no other significant losses so far in the season. Teron Armstead looked amazing against Von Miller, and we will continue to need him to shore up the line and give Tua time. Tyreek Hill, he had some choice words for Bengals corner Eli Apple right after the game, so you know he'll be ready. And Waddle has been excellent so far in his sophomore season. If Miami's able to protect Tua, based on everything we've seen this season, then I expect the Dolphins' offense to be able to move the ball and put up points. Now, the Bengals' defense has been their strength so far in 2022, but they haven't faced weapons quite like ours. They also have quite a big injury of their own, with stud defensive tackle DJ Reader out for the game with an injury. The wild card, and what can win Miami this game, is our rushing attack. Because despite the 3 big wins, Miami has yet to achieve 100 yards on the ground, and this is the game where I think we will see a change. I expect McDaniel to put an emphasis early in the ground game, run on first and second down. Edmonds and Mostert, they have yet to pop, and the good thing is they really haven't needed to yet, but this could be the week. Because when you're able to run the ball effectively, you do a multitude of things, right? Not just for your offense, but the entire team. First, you speed up the game. The clock continues to run, and considering how tired Miami could be entering this matchup, a shorter game will benefit them. With the clock running, it allows you to control the time of possession, something that the offense owes the defense, considering how well the D played last week and how much they played, and keeping that unit as fresh as possible for the fourth quarter will be huge. Miami has had success on play action, but actually having a legitimate threat on the ground is going to open up more space over the middle of the field for the Dolphins to attack. And it minimizes the risk that Tua is placed under as well, less dropbacks. And considering how he's banged up, keeping him as healthy as possible entering this mini break, because again, Miami plays Thursday and they're off until next Sunday. So they do get a little bit of rest to heal up, and that's huge going forward. So defensively, I hope Miami stops Joe Mixon and the Bengals ground game, force Joe Burrow to drop back, face pressure repeatedly, potentially forcing the issue and then making a mistake. And if you remember, Miami had 4 dropped interceptions a week ago, so hopefully they can capitalize on any errant or risky throws come Thursday night. I also want to see Miami blitz a lot, right? Force Burrow to prove that he can handle that. On offense, the Dolphins have to rush the ball with consistency and be effective doing it. Keep control of the flow of the game and help out your defense as much as possible. Keep Cincy's playmakers on the sideline. Keep Jamar Chase away from the big play and try to establish that 2-score lead. Get comfortable, control the game. That's going to force the Bengals out of the run, and it's going to allow for more and more exotic looks and pressures that Miami can dial up with Josh Boyer. The last point is probably the thing I'm most concerned about. The Cincinnati Bengals are going to be unveiling their new White Tiger alternate jerseys. Now look, I think we have the sexiest uniforms in the league, but these White Tiger fits are gorgeous with the white helmets. You look good, you feel good. You feel good, you play good. And laugh if you want, but I'd expect the Bengals to come out with some swagger, trying to make a statement of their own. They were once that young, promising team, right, in the league, and they want nothing more than to remind the NFL that it's still them, not these new kids on the block. Miami has to continue to show mental toughness, outlast Cincinnati, and continue to play mistake-free ball in a hostile environment with the whole world watching. If Tua is truly ascending to elite status before our eyes, then he's going to ball out this game. You know he remembers the last time he faced off against Burrow, and he's going to want some revenge. Although I could very well see the Dolphins come out flat in an even environment, right, where both teams get a full week of rest. We should win this game, but considering everything, considering the game that was just played, traveling, the hurricane, there's a lot going on for Miami. Coming out flat wouldn't shock me. But look, I'm going to stop doubting this squad until they give me a reason to doubt them. So far, I've been making, hey, but they could lose here. They could make a mistake here, starting with the Ravens, then in Buffalo. So until they actually stumble, why doubt them? My final score prediction, the Dolphins come out of Cincy with a win. Miami 29, Bengals 20. What do you think? Do the Dolphins come out of September undefeated, 4-0? Not only would that be amazing for us fans, but in the big picture, a 4-0 start makes a playoff berth very likely as long as something disastrous does not occur. Or do you think this is the letdown game? Do the Bengals come out, look like the team that won this conference last season? Let us know what you think, as well as what your score prediction is in the comments below. And as always, fins up. Talk to you all on Friday.
Oh, I mean, Miami's the best team in the NFL right now. Period. Not just the AFC, the entire NFL. And here's why. Everyone last week was talking about the Buffalo Bills. You, my man, even said that the Buffalo Bills could possibly go undefeated.
Yes, I still believe that.
Now the Dolphins beat the Bills.
Yeah.
The Bills dismantled the reigning Super Bowl champs week one. They went out and they dominated AFC's number 1 seed in the Tennessee Titans in week 2. And then they showed up, yes, a little banged up, but they got beat by the Dolphins. So to me, yes, right now, today, everyone can be upset about it. Okay. But the Miami Dolphins are the best team in the league. They beat the vaunted Bills. Tua Tagovailoa is out there throwing deep balls when everyone says he's got no arm strength. So if you want to talk to me about at the end of the year, yeah, maybe the Bills will be the best team in the league. But right now, today, they just got beat. And you can't stack your deck and say, oh, well, they had all these injuries. This happened, that happened. At the end of the day, the Dolphins beat them. They came back and beat the Baltimore Ravens. Right. We have MVP favorite Lamar Jackson playing out of his mind. Came back from 21 down, scored 28 points in the fourth quarter. You got to give the Miami Dolphins their due.
That's going to do it for us here today. Thank you guys so much for listening to the show. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, as always, to Timothy Ritchie, Brian Guger, Chris, Commander Pig, and Dan Kolbasowski, members of the pod and supporters of the show over on Patreon. Check that out. Links in the description, or head to patreon.com/FinzPod. Thank you all for the continued support over there. Really means a lot. And remember to like the video if you enjoyed the show and subscribe just so you never miss a chance to chat about your number 1 seed, Miami Dolphins. Remember that the show is available on all platforms: Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and of course, YouTube. Continue the conversation with us over on Twitter and Instagram at FinzPod. I hope you all have an amazing day, and until next time, stay safe. Love y'all. Go Fins!